Hello and welcome for another Nordic Takedown podcast. Podcast this time. I've been doing a lot of videos apparently, so this was a new way to intro, old way. I'm so humble. I'm here with Viktor.
Hello.
And Fun Daddy, the captain.
How you doing? Adam? How you doing, Victor?
I'm doing good.
Good to be here.
All great.
So today we are going to talk a little bit about events we've been attending to, events that has been going around, and just about the deck list in general. It's going to be a fun episode with we have a lot to cover. Actually, it's been a lot that happened. So let's just go into it. But first, what have you been up to, Victor? You were not here last week.
Yeah, we missed you. We missed you, man.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks since last, and the Cantina Brawl happened 2 weekends ago. Last weekend was really nice and slow. Star Wars wise, for me, just keeping up the work on the list with my testing crew. We've been doing a lot of analysis since the Cantina Brawl, and not as much playtesting, just mostly talking now.
You make
Were
it sound
you guys
professional.
Yeah. Were you guys happy with the performance or not happy? Is that why you're analyzing it? Or
are you ever happy?
When you're not winning? Yeah.
Even when I'm winning, I'm like, that thing, that there. It's always something bugging you, aren't there?
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. I should do a little bit more analyzing, actually. Yeah, after tournaments, I'm just going with my gut feeling. That's not smart. So I've actually started testing a lot because I have recently realized that the PQ in Copenhagen is in about a month.
Yeah.
And when you take account to that, it's Christmas time and holidays. That means that your testing is gonna be very limited, and you might be needing to have the deck ready just after Christmas, something like New Year's and stuff like that. So I've been digging into that now when I have a little bit of time. So that's been fun. Evolving the list. Also was in Växjö having a tournament this weekend. Won it.
yeah. I was just at a tournament. I won it. It's no big deal now.
No big deal.
It's fine.
No biggie. There is a YouTube video about it on the channel. So if anyone wants a little bit more a deep dive about the run and the changes from the Anakin Blue deck, because I brought that, you can watch that there. But
that video and that run, it really is worth watching.
Yeah.
I would not do a video about my run.
No, but you were also there. You took a longer trip, Jason. Me and a guy called Johan went there together, right? How was your experience?
That was a long day. I must have left about 6:30 in the morning. Came and met you at 9. 9:30, and then we got there just in time for it to start. By the time we could park and everything, so that was an experience. My deck choice was I kind of realized after last week's episode, I woke up the morning after, and I'm so humble here. Did a very, very nice thing here, and I got a picture which was just gift for Jason. And I was like, okay, what's this? And so he had put me together an idea for a Chewbacca deck, because I'm thinking that, okay, if I want to major into one deck or one, I guess, archetype, then actually I should just maybe stick to a couple of colors and go with that. So, okay, I've been wanting to give Chewie its fair turn. And yeah, Adam gave me a pretty decent...
Yeah, you've been talking about Chewie since set 1 and not brought it to a single tournament yet. So this
exactly, because I'm too afraid that what is going to happen when I do that is what happened on Saturday. But it wasn't all that bad, actually, because I went into the tournament thinking this could go wrong. I haven't actually played this deck yet. Improbable. I put it together, searched for the cars, borrowed the cars, did everything I needed to. Did the opening hands. I didn't get a chance to actually run the deck, so I thought, okay, why not put it up against real players in a competitive environment against competitive meta decks and see where it gets me. And so I did this. I turned up, and so many people's reaction were, okay, oh wow, Chewbacca, what does that do? As if it was a brand new card from set 3.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the players there, they came into the game maybe set 2, and they've got some set 2 heroes and stuff like that. And so it's just like, okay, wow. So they're treating like a brand new hero. And I'm thinking, okay, that's 1-0 to me, because they're not used to going up against Chewbacca. And I go, oh wow, Sentinel. So that was, I feel, to my advantage. However, going through the tournament, especially going through and playing a deck, you learn more about the deck as you go along, what it can do, what you should be doing. You're learning from your mistakes. And so round 1, I was up against Tarkin Town Ray, which did not go well. I had a nice long break between game 1 and 2 because it was over very quickly. But then I played it wrong.
And you've got a pretty good opponent. This was Emil, who made the top 8 in Cantina Brawl.
That is true. He's a very good opponent. He knew exactly what he was doing with his Tarkin Town. I ambushed out Plo Koon from Now There Are Two of Us. Ideal move. I'm going to get onto the list in a little bit, but and I was like, okay, great. This is going to stick around. I can do a bit more damage, clear the board. Okay, bam, Tarkin Town gone. That's the controller. So Tarkin Town didn't do so well. However, I probably would have played it differently if I played Emil on the last game than I did on the first game, because that's kind of what the deck does. Because it's obviously it's a blue yellow. If we haven't mentioned this yet, because I keep going on about blue yellow, blue green maybe could be stronger, but I really enjoy Cunning. I really enjoy what Cunning does. It's a fun play style, and I want to get better at that. So game 2 I did not draw well. I think my resourcing was all over the place. I wasted so many resources to do what I need to. But the fun with this deck is that it really capitalizes on Now There Are Two of Them for that turn 2 play. Isn't that right, Adam? Because you came with the idea, and I get it, and I was like, okay, well, the Wookiee doesn't go into anything, but it's designed so that Republic first units can go into Plo Koon or Kiadi-Mundi for turn 2, and you get a really strong turn 2 play if you possibly can.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I felt like a Chewy. If you like Chewy yellow, so like this, so it's a challenge to make a compelling deck there. But I felt like it needs something that is broken, right? So I wanted to try now there's 2 of them to get like big boys on the board to help you kind of smooth into the Chewy flip, in a way.
Exactly.
And you get the. R2 is the Republic, and the hero side makes you easier for you to like find those things. But I wanted the deck also to function without Now There's Two of Them, which you realized later.
I was just like, why have you put a tree tender in here? Wookiee does not go into anything, maybe the other Chewbacca at the top. However, it did become early game, there did become, and some games I did go to my game plan. I did control the board, and it was very difficult once I had control of the board to kind of get back. And once I could stabilize, it was actually very easy to get the win, which was really nice. And that 5-drop on turn 2 actually really did the thing that I was going for. And even though I went officially 1-4, but I went 1-2-2, if that makes sense. So I had 2.
Yeah, no, officially 1-2-2. Draws are a thing now. It's just not great.
Yeah.
But
Okay. So officially 1-2-2. There were 2 double losses, and I feel those double losses I could have won actually. And so I feel that actually, and one of the losses I had was a 2-1 against an Anakin Green, which it was a huge player by myself. I should have Rivals fooled one of his big things, and he came in with a breaking in to saboteur past my thing for the winning blow, and I just did not see that coming.
That was from the gracious host of the Malmö Game Week, right?
That was from Marcus, and we had a fantastic game, really close. He was panicking the whole time, and then I was panicking because he put 2 General's blades on his Anakin, and I just couldn't stop him. No way getting around that one. So yeah, I played an Anakin. And I didn't. Yeah, I played Anakin Green. I played a Django Red, which actually I did way better against than I thought, because the saving your control for the space. But the Anakin, the Django Red, he also drew a little bit oddly as well. So he was getting a lot of his base units just weren't turning up, and then when they did turn up, it was a little bit more difficult to hold on to. But they probably needs a little bit more control on that side, but it was a very, very even game there. But what I think that I was missing, or maybe I just need to practice and play this more, was the end game outs. What are my outs? Finding that way just to get over the edge. I played in my league game last night as well against the Palpatine Yellow that came second at this tournament. And again, I got to 28. I got him down to 28, just had to push it. Palpatine out, took Luke, stabilized, and swung back and won that game. And so I think Chewbacca is a very difficult hero. I feel like I kept feeling like, well, why aren't I playing Tarful? Why aren't I playing more Wookiees, etc., etc.? But I just don't think they're strong enough going for just the Wookiees. They're fun, of course, but I think you need to capitalize on Force. You need to capitalize on on getting the strong start, so that you are controlling, but you're getting ahead of the game as well. So I've got to get to the place where I can stabilize in order to get through, and that's kind of what I learned on Saturday from my experiences. The win that I had at the end of the day, it's actually, the deck was flowing very, very nicely. It was against the Mandalorian Yellow, which I'd never played before. But Mandalorian Yellow is also another weird deck, because that kind of control is just a lot of exhausting, and he couldn't, once that exhausting's gone, then I still got 9 units on the board to do something with. By the end of it, I've got Sentinels, so that even if he did bring out his big guns, I've got Sentinels he can't do with anyway. So I was aggravating my opponent quite a lot with these Sentinels as well, which obviously is what Chewie is designed to do. But I felt way more happier with Chewbacca this time round than I think I have done in the previous 2 tournaments, if I'm going to say so. I'm very grateful to you, Adam, for bringing for suggesting this deck, actually, because this was a lot of fun, and playing something that I might I don't know if I'll take it to PQ. I want to, but I also want to take something to PQ in Norway, which is where I'm kind of planning on going to at the moment. I want to take something that I'm not gonna hit bottom of the pile with.
Yeah, and you had not played this before.
No, exactly.
And even if you ended up in the bottom of the table, like I checked your game score afterwards, it was actually 5 and 6, so you almost had a 50-50
was it actually 5 and 6? Wow,
yeah.
that wasn't bad, actually. That was way better than Cantina Ball.
So with more practice and like less draws, like it was, if you can play faster, like and not draw the games, then that could have become like a 3-2.
Yeah, I will say, play the speed of the games. Was a lot of the time was my opponents not really understanding Chewbacca, and I'm saying, how do I get around this? Because meta deck lists right now, they are not. Yes, there's more Saboteur in the game, but I don't think people are built to get around Sentinels now, because there isn't as much. Okay, maybe Luke's the Ray decks
there is not that much
Sentinels.
saboteurs. No,
But there
you're
isn't
right.
much Sentinel, and people have to bring in Saboteur to get around it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to Norway, don't worry about it. I probably won't take it. Don't put your Saboteurs into the deck. You're safe. But it was a very big learning experience. I've talked about my experience quite a bit here, but that's fine. I actually played a deck, and I can talk about my deck. So I get my time on the spotlight here.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was my experience. I think very, very happy with it. Now there are two of them. I really loved that card when it came out, and I think I hit Now there are two of them at probably about 60-65% of the time.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Every more times than not when I had the opportunity, and actually going with a turn 3 or turn 4, getting Luke out on turn 4. Is that correct? No, it's too early. So turn 3. Luke should normally come out turn 6, right? So he comes out
turn 4.
Yeah, so bring Luke out turn 4. Also, really, really swung the board very, very nicely. Actually,
that's a cool play.
Control. Yeah. But you've just got to be happy. And I actually baited my opponent into destroying something, so I had one thing left on board, and he was like really pleased. Like, okay, yeah, that's the right move. That's the right move. Now there are two of them. Luke Skywalker.
That's nice. Baiting opponents. Yeah. That's part of the game.
Yeah. It was a lovely move, and the drop on his face. When I was just like, oh yeah, there we go. I haven't got much now. I've got rid of your Sentinel. And I've now killed your lurking TIE fighter because you allowed me to get Luke out. So thank you very much.
Yeah, that's nice. To wrap this tournament up, it's like we have to shout out a bit to the store, because this was this was not a store showdown or a PQ or anything like that. It was like the store hosted this because the player group wanted a tournament.
It's a growing community.
This is the store is called Nexus. It's in Växjö. It's a smaller store. Maximum players to be able to play, I think they said, was 22. Maybe it was 20, and we reached 20.
Reached 20, yeah. One drop, one spare ticket, I think it was.
Real nice. There was a community from Malmö that came up to fill out the spots. So that was very fun, and I encourage more stores to run these tournaments, and don't be afraid to not go with that much profit. Just get your players to the store. We will buy stuff. If we feel like you're generous to us, we will buy stuff.
And they still have Keyforge in stock.
I am gonna cut you off there because
that could be
I have dropped
long way around.
Do you know what? Like when there's a shop that still has that in stock, you know it's a good shop.
Sure.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. So to bring Viktor more into this, it's
I wasn't in Växjö, so no. I had very little to add to this discussion.
No, just kidding. But we are going to talk about while we're on tournaments.
Well, when we're talking about tournaments, we weren't at. We did have a really big tournament, right?
Yes, the PQ in Bologna, the delayed PQ in Bologna, as we were informed, right?
This was a set 2 PQ, even though set 3 cards were legal.
Yes, because there was apparently some natural catastrophe stuff there. Catastrophe is a bit too much, but there was something that they couldn't have the tournament when it was scheduled, so they rescheduled for now. So this became like really cool for them, I guess. All eyes on Bologna, and it was 127 players attending.
Yeah, it's a neat
I think.
Score.
Maximum is 128, right? So probably a late drop-off. I can't imagine it wasn't sold out. I'm going to run down the top 8, and then Viktor, you can get some reactions from this. I feel I want yours. But on the 5th to 8th place, we find 2 Sabine ECLs and a Ray Tarkentown and a Palpatine 2 red with Tarkentown as well.
Yeah, that's
crazy. We're probably going to talk about that the most. Then it was a Bosk Blue blah. And Han 1 green, back to the top 4. Really interesting. Then Sabine ECL lost in the final to Cad Tarkentown. Not strange that she lost the final.
No,
at all.
Cad would be really favored into that.
Yeah. So first reactions here.
Well, I mean, there are two reactions that are obvious. Like Chancellor Pulp red going into top 8. That is like, I've looked at this deck list and I do not understand how this will work. There are 31 ground units in this deck. Sorry, space units in this deck. There are only 7 ground units. It's a space deck. It's absolutely bonkers. This deck is so weird. I don't understand how I would even begin to pilot this deck, and pilot would be very suiting, seeing how it's definitely a space deck. It's just I'll have to try this deck out a couple of times just to get a hang of it, and I just haven't found time yet. But I've been meaning to for the last few days here. Now, that's the obvious shocking thing with this, but then also like the guy that ran Cad Bane Talkingtown. What a great medical. What an excellent medical. They had, 24 Sabines in the tournament. 24 Sabine ECL. And I don't think there's any deck that I've feared them more than Cad Red when I play Sabine.
It's so free.
It's winnable, but it is a hard matchup. It's rough, man.
It's way rougher than Django Red, like Django Target Time.
Like back in the PQ in Copenhagen, like that's what we talked about on the trip down. Remember? Like I was really afraid of Boba Red and Cad Red because those decks are really rough for Sabine.
And I neglected them a lot.
And seeing like 24 Sabine ECL, there were only 3 Cad Reds in the tournament.
That is strange because in Birmingham, Cad had such a high win rate, highest of them all. I've been hyping this up a lot. Like I got my brother to play it on the Cantina Brawl, and he went 4-2. He just 4-1-1, just missed out the top cut. It's just
and
such
it's a fun deck. It's a fun deck to play. I like playing Cad Red. Sure, but it's not Han Solo hard.
No, nothing is right, but
no, I mean it's hard, but it's fairly quick. It's a mid-range deck, so you get
it has so much tricks. Like with the you have so much smuggle, and you have the McClunky plays, and
there's so many moving parts. I really like the Cad Red decks. They do differ a lot. Some of them lean more into space, some lean more into ground, some lean more into battle tricks. There's flavors within the Cad Tarkentown, but either way you go, you're going to have a decent matchup into Sabine, and in a field where a fifth of the field is Sabine's, you made the right call. And I think that it's also favored into Jango Fett Tarkentown.
Yeah, I think so too. I find it a lot harder, but it's supposed
probably
to be
fairly even matchup, but your slight favorite, I think. And there were 10. That's the second most played deck. No, third most played deck. There were 10 Jango Fett Tarkentowns. Bosk Blue matchup, that's probably rough though. And there were 12 Bosk Blues.
Yeah, so he kind of dodged. I assume he dodged the top 4 Bosk Blue. I haven't really checked on the run, but I can't imagine he won that. I've been like tweaking my Cad Red to become a little bit better against Bosk Blues, or control in general, because it has some tools like with some smuggle, and like you can add like great dragons. Like
you can.
So you can make that a lot better, but Great Dragons on the other hand is garbage against the aggro. So but it's a very flexible deck, and there is a home for Jabba the Hutt, like the unit, not the leader. The unit Jabba the Hutt from set 1, right? With the trick finding. you also
You
have
can
this
find a
card
trick.
draw.
You get to search the top 8 card or something for a trick, and then you get a discount on every
Yeah.
trick.
And like that one, that the card red is really rough to play against for Anakin, for example, Anakin Blue,
I
because it
bet.
has a lot of smuggle. It
Mhm,
has these. It takes the early control of the board with Tarkin Town,
mhm.
and it has a little bit of card draw with Jabba. So it's so dangerous to go to for the discard play, and it's such a strong play to go for discard. But you're afraid to do it, and like
Yeah,
force throwing that deck is not that fun. A lot of cheap stuff.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah, that one is really cool.
yeah. No, I think the CAD red, it's a tough meta call because there's also like so much Palpatine and
Yeah,
Bosk Blue in the meta right now that it's a dangerous medical because
yeah,
it's not very good into those, like we said. But this one only had what, 5 Palpatines?
that's strange.
What, four Palpatine yellow, 2 Palpatine green, mono green, and 1 Palpatine blue. So very few Palpatines. And even though Bosk Blue was the
That was
second most
pretty.
played
Yeah,
deck, it's still only 12 compared to the 24
yeah,
Sabines. So, you're twice as likely to run into it. So, really good medical there.
yeah, for sure. And it has legs.
Oh,
Apparently,
for sure. For
now
sure.
it keeps showing up, and
Hmm.
like very interesting with the 24 Sabines. You said like since we in Vecco had 0,
Yeah.
20 players 0 Sabine.
Yeah.
People were talking
That was
about like a
refreshing.
record. Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird for me because I had started taking it more against Sabine and Django and wanted to try it. Didn't get to face a single one, obviously. Uh,
That's always how it goes, though.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
always how it goes. I kind of like that Han 1 green as well as there.
Yeah. Me too. I think that deck is severely underrated. People are looking too much into the Han yellow, and I think both of these decks have so much legs.
Yeah, I can't find like my SVU DB is like a pain for me, so I can't see the deck list. But like, is it like the standard stuff or is it like something
So I mean, you can build
new
the
and
Han
spicy?
green in so many ways, but
Yeah.
he's running some new cards like Platoon, Memphis Nest, the
Yeah.
new one, the bouncy one.
Yeah.
But then there's all the regular stuff. He is running DJ, but without. No, yeah, he's running 3 techs and 3 DJs. So he's
Yeah.
going.
Makes
He
sense.
has that option. He's got Ewing reinforcements. It's not the Casino Han with You're My Only Hope.
Yeah. No, that
Uh,
one was never that good in my
it
opinion.
was more fun than good.
Yes. Yeah.
But Ewing reinforcements really nice in this deck, and you got Marauders, Bright Hopes, Millennium Falcons, obviously home one for top end. What you'd expect. Han Solo
Yeah.
7 cost unit, obviously really good. So it's the kind of deck you'd think it is. Nothing too spicy in here. I don't
No,
think.
cool that works now.
Yeah.
Again, it was really rough into Boba in set 2.
Mhm.
So I understand why people are a bit slow on it, but really, really cool to see
Mm.
it back in the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think in the hands of a capable player that knows how to play these kind of things, all the old hand decks are really, really strong right now. They have no free wins, but they
No.
have really good game into a lot of things.
Yeah, and like that is very interesting because obviously I played it a lot in set 1, so there was no Bosk, but
Mm.
Han 1 was so good into control in set
Mm.
1. They was so free. Playing Palpatine was a free win. Like
Mm-hmm.
it took a while, but it was free win.
Mm-hmm.
Like same with all these Boba Blue. Like I was really bad in the Boba Blue matchup, but in the all other things, it was just free win. So I think it should probably have a pretty good matchup into the control list. I guess Snoke, if he has a solution for Snoke, because Snoke made that a bit different in set 2.
Indeed, but you do have. I mean, you've got Spark of Rebellion, so you got the best answer into all control decks. And I think the weakest thing for them would be discard package. The discard package is really rough on Han 1.
At least
It's
you
always been.
run 3 tech to
Yeah,
balance it,
yeah.
but you miss
That
out on the big plays.
and especially in that early part of the mid game where the first pillage comes down, that's when you're the most reliant on being able to resource a card extra with Han ability. And if you have to resource one of the cards you really want to play, you're in a rough spot.
Yeah,
So I think
that's
that's
true.
probably the most dangerous part of the game, where you can straight up lose with these lists.
Yeah, it's a very interesting deck to play. Very fun deck to
Mm,
play. We'll see
mm,
if that catches on from here.
mm.
It's fun to see that. Well, it's not a new deck, but like something new old popping up as well
Mm.
that people have forgotten about a bit.
So, I mean, in the Stockholm meta, we have two menacing hand players. We've got Edvin, that's been on hand green since set one, and
Yep.
he's just relentless with that. He's really good with it. And I mean, even if the deck hasn't been as good the meta call for set
Yep.
two,
Yeah.
he stuck with it, and he's really good with it. And then you got Philip, who's been playing a lot of hand throughout, even though he changes decks all the time. He's really strong with his hand one yellow right now. It's some of the other Stockholm players are really, they're really,
Annoyed.
and I'd say distraught really, because
Yeah.
they have a rough time now with
It's
these two
like
hand plays.
Han 1 is a lot, like you have to think a lot when you play against it.
Mm.
Like, and if you mess up, they punish you, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so hard.
and that is like a lot of. I'm not gonna say bad players, but mediocre or not like not that experienced players, right? Do these mistakes and maybe play a card too early, and
Mm.
then Han hits you like no one else, especially maybe the yellow one in the early stages. The green one more like, oh, you didn't punish me when you could. Now I'm free winning it.
Yeah.
But it's a deck you need a lot of practice into, and you won't get those free wins against those decks unless you actually practice the matchup.
For sure.
They have a lot of legs.
And even if you know what to do, if you look like Nikolai's just, we had this talk the other day, and it's like, well, what am I going to do with Philip? He's just so ruthless with it. And I know, I mean, I've faced him. he is ruthless. Even though I did come so close to beating him, he's hand one always has an out, you know?
Yeah, except versus me. It's on stream.
He did beat you in one game, didn't he?
No, it was 2-0 actually.
Oh, it was. All right.
Yeah. It was close though, but in one of those games. But yeah, and we didn't get to meet each other in the final.
No.
Kevin destroyed both of our days.
Yeah.
So other decks here, like there was 3 Zabines.
Yeah.
Not so strange when it is so many attending as well
No.
that they squeaked in.
And it is a strong deck.
Yes.
I mean, it's not surprising at all.
No. And if it was 12 Bosk Blues, I understand why it's only one slipped in, because you probably had to play one or like 2 Sabines to get through. And I assume you could not have more than one loss. So,
oh yeah, only top 8 with 127 players. You got to go. You got to be strong. Your record's going to be really strong.
You need to be strong and lucky.
Yeah, for sure. Great Talking Town. You know, it's one of those decks that's still hanging around, still doing well.
That one keeps surprising me that it works so well, actually, especially into that many Sabines, because I feel like that one has an awful matchup to Sabine.
Yeah, me too. But with lightsabers, it gets a lot better. So when they start attacking the lightsaber, the matchup gets a lot closer, and they can do the discard package, so they can stop the mid game of Sabine. Some Sabines tends to always go to the mid game, and you can deck against that with pillage. So yeah.
So interesting tournament, and we'll see what that has for like ramifications later. There won't be that many tournaments coming up right now, I assume, with Christmas times. So it's going to be for us here in Scandinavia, it's going to be probably the first tournament going to be the PQ in Copenhagen.
I guess unless you talk about the store showdowns, because they're probably
but none of them
coming-
have been announced yet.
no, not announced, but
but
the
they will.
stores
They will be coming in around that time. We just don't know when they will be. And
well, Alpha Spill is going to have theirs in early January. Was the word.
Okay.
So because you had to order your store showdown kits by no later than the 18th of December. So I assume you're going to get them early January.
Yeah. But as Jason said, nothing announced yet, so everyone is looking at that. For now, at least.
And I mean, the store showdowns have way better promo cards than the PQ. So, you know,
I don't know what they are doing with the PQ promo cards.
Yeah, that's just insane.
Yeah.
who are the
two sets in a row?
which are the promo cards? Just remind us.
The PQ cards are the two
Tranquility?
ships.
Yeah,
Tranquility
Tranquility,
and the Silent Hand. No, the Silent Hand, the black one. And then for the store showdowns, you get the legendary Gore.
Yep.
Yeah, and you get
and already there, it's better.
Yeah. A lot better. But even the attendance card, what do you call it? The participation prize was quite was an all right card, a rare card. What was it? Red 7 cost, I think.
Savage Press.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Okay, yeah.
At least something you recognize.
And a card that can see play. you know.
I think you can definitely splash in like one Savage Press in some decks because, you claimed and you have more units than me. I'm gonna end you.
Yeah.
So we'll see. There will probably be a lot of tournaments, even for us in Scandinavia, January, February.
I think so. Yeah.
A lot more than we are used to, and that's going to be a lot of fun for all of us. So, talking about these lists and everything, we had like a little bit of a segment planned for us today, because you and I, Victor, has published our deck list about the Krennic and Anakin Blue, and we had like, why do we publish deck lists?
Yeah. Exactly. I think the benefits of keeping your list close to your chest are obvious. Like you can surprise people and people can't tech against you. But I think there are quite a lot of benefits to being more public with your list as well. But obviously there can be different positives from different ways of doing it. So for an example, if you look at one of the largest forums for Star Wars Unlimited right now would be the KTOD Discord server with thousands of people with it. It's a paywall locked thing, but a huge community of people. And the whole concept of the KTOD server is sharing deck lists, talking about deck lists and working on them collectively. Anything from smaller forums, like the Krennic forums has maybe, I don't know, 40, 50 people that are active, to the Sabine forums that like 200, 300 people that are actively working on the list on a regular daily basis. You get a wall of text every day on what is working for who won into what they're trying and discussions about cards. I joined the forum originally for my Sabine lists because the Sabine forum that's really where you learn about this list.
It's quality, what I've heard. Yeah,
it's brilliant, and that idea of like working in a communal way with a list, that's just ramping up what we already been talking so much about how you get together with a couple of friends and work on your list, that you test and you improve on lists together. Like this is just ramping it up with this kind of forums and doing it with 5 eyes You get stuck in a group think so often, and you don't really see the flaws. But if you publish it in a forum like this, you get so many eyes on it, and so many people will find the strength and improve on it so fast. The evolution of the deck is so much faster. It comes at a price, obviously, that it's a known factor. Everyone knows about Yango Talking Town, which sprung out from the KTOD forums, as well as like the modern ECL Sabine, which also sprung out from the KTOD forums originally. These are known quantities, but they do great still because they're really strong lists. So I think working collectively on your list is actually something that can benefit your list a lot. And you learn so much from talking about your list with a lot of people. So I did publish my Krennic list. Alexander's and my Krennic list was published, obviously, on our Discord servers, on the Swedish Swoosh Discord server after the Cantina Brawl. But more importantly, the Krennic forums in KTOD were so much coming alive over just seeing the list perform on the streams. So I put it out there as well. And since then, there has been iterations. Now, the KTOD server is pinging me. As we're talking right now, the Krennic forums are pinging me about the Krennic lists they are working on based off of what we were doing in the Cantina Brawl. Because that forum was pretty much dead before the Cantina Brawl. And it got alive. These 2 last weeks have seen, so many posts, so much people talking about it. So it's really invigorating to get to see your list take a life in other people's hands and see other people's ideas working on your list. I myself are still working on the list with Alexander so much, but seeing other people start thinking about it and working with it is also really interesting. But you went a completely different route with your list. You made videos about it. What's the idea behind that?
Oh, that is to feed the ego. No, not really. Well, one of the we are a podcast and we want to make content for people to feel that we are genuine and that we are not now we don't have the people on Patreon yet who giving a lot of money, but giving authenticity behind what we do and be open. So one of them are a little bit of kindness, I guess, but and also something to give back to the community in a way. But as you said, when we built this, we were 4 people building a little bit on different holes and merged through me. And we did not want it public at all before the Cantina Brawl, because nobody that we actually knew was playing this kind of version. So we wanted the people not to know how to play against it.
You wanted the upper hand in some way.
Yes, an extra upper hand, even though we thought maybe it still might be the best deck. So if we get the upper hand and have the best deck, then we're just going to win. Apparently not, I guess. But it was pretty damn close. Pretty close. Of course, some people had get a little bit of a know about the deck because we had scrimmed a little bit and played against people in Sweden that was going.
We pretty much had
out, but
we had it fairly well figured out, but we still couldn't beat it. So
and I think many did not have at least many games into it, the specific version, so maybe didn't have really the idea of how we played. People most people I played didn't realize that I was sitting there playing control against them. They were why are you passing on me? I have the better late game. You go ahead. So I think that was intentional for the tournament. But now when there is no tournament coming up in a while, it's really good to put it out there, because now it's kind of been shown on stream. So just give the list to the people and see if because then people can start playing it, and then we will see if it actually holds up in the bigger context.
Yeah.
And like if there are some few cards to tweak as well that we just couldn't find, or were too as you said, group focused on. So I think especially now with a long time, having multiple people, like over 1,000 people have watched the YouTube video, deck tech video, working on it, and like maybe asking and commenting about it, that is really good for us to see if we need to make some changes if we're going to take it to a PQ.
No, I agree that it's like getting ice on your list is such a huge thing.
Coming from, and I'm just sat here listening because I'm learning a lot, just as I do, and this is kind of my point here, that I, as someone coming into this game where I don't have as much experience as either of you in card games, in this kind of game, but I love the game anyway, I learn by other people talking about their deck and why their deck works the way it does. So for me, these videos and people making things there, it helps people get into the game. People like me who want to get better, get into the game to try and understand, okay, why is Adam winning 80% of the tournaments that he's going to with the decks that he's doing? What, like, one of the big questions, Victor, I have for you is like, what is your full process? You say, oh, we've been working on this deck, as if like you have a big laboratory up in Uppsala underground, like a big nuclear bunker kind of thing, where you're there and you have like all the cards there, every single deck, and you're just testing and putting through an algorithm, stuff like that. Like for me, it's just like, what does that all this stuff even mean that you're putting the stuff through to make these decks good, to make these decks the things there, so that other people can then put it through their algorithms, I'm using with air quotes, their gauntlets, etc., to also make them a better, and then the game progresses and people progress and players get better, and then you have someone that you guys have people to challenge you at the top of these tournaments. That way, so you're only going to win. You're only going to get out on top if you're the one sharing your stuff. The game is going to win by you sharing what you are doing and your thoughts and why. Like I was saying, like I still don't have the answers to how can I play this Chewbacca deck? What can I put into it to get the outs that I need to finish off those games that I'm always so close to winning?
Yeah. And for
that
example,
kind of question,
as you said there, Jason, before Victor talks about his laboratory, it's like it's really good if you want to be do well in these bigger tournaments. It is good to make your community stronger because you get better testing partners. So you don't have to share the list on YouTube, but sharing it with more people than just 2 or 3, and like just play into it a lot, like and improve your community. That will make people better and challenge you, as Jason said, which will lead you to play better. Because if you don't get challenged, you will do stuff that might not be optimal because it just works.
Absolutely.
And when a good player arrives, it just don't work, and you haven't faced that situation yet. So,
but I think developing a deck, and especially on the community point, because like I think that's an area where I feel like I do succeed in the gaming area, is building community and helping people find each other, is if you bring it to your community, because then you have something to talk about, you have something to discuss, you have something to engage in, and if someone comes along and beats it, then that's even better, because then you can develop it even more and go, well, why did I just completely lose to that thing again when I didn't, I can't blame it on the humble fumble. What else was I had to get that one in. But why did I lose that game now that's come out of nowhere? Is it because the person's playing a jank deck and they got lucky, like a weird meme deck, or was it because actually they've found a weakness in my deck that I hadn't seen before? So getting all that play, because when you get into into the tournament, all the preparation that you do, kind of means nothing if you go up against the wrong decks, or if you're not prepared against certain decks, or if you haven't found that weakness already.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? Like, all of these games, all of this stuff that you go through, it's all really good preparation.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it depends on what kind of player you are, and it depends on a couple of things. Like the benefits, again, like of having a unknown deck is obvious. But if you're going to go all the way through a large tournaments, your deck is not going to remain unknown when you get to the top card. Yeah. So if your deck is relying on your opponents not understanding it, you're not going to win the biggest things. You could win medium-sized things.
And go far.
For sure.
Yeah.
But your deck needs to be strong enough to handle the meta that you're putting it into, even if it's known. Obviously, when it's known, the meta changes. So it could start teching against it. A good example of this would be the Vader Blue deck, which was pretty unknown when it came about. They kept
unknown. Yeah.
They kept it very close to guys that invented it. And they could win this tournament not because the deck was unknown, but because the deck was really, really strong into what was played in those tournaments.
Yeah. And on the tournament, people cannot add the cards to the sideboard.
No, exactly. But the deck went away as soon as it was known, because it was easy to attack against, and the meta changed. The decks that were really weak into it disappeared. The decks that could handle it got stronger, and the decks that could attack against it got stronger. Now, a deck like the Anakin Blue deck that you're working on, it is not as easy to attack against. You can't just take away this deck. And I think the kind of Krennic deck that we're trying to build has sort of the same. It's weak to some things, obviously, but we're aiming for at least a build that will keep its strength even when it's known. So the idea here is to make the deck strong, but also get as many lines known as possible. And again, if we are 2 or 5 people testing with the deck, we're going to find a certain number of lines. But if we're 100 people testing with the decks, talking about the lines, even if we don't actually change many cards or numbers, the number of plays that comes through and how to deal with things, that's what's really exploding. Yep. So obviously, when you talk about the laboratory here in Uppsala, we use the Ångström laboratory, which is one of the state-of-the-art physics laboratories in the world. So that we rent the space. Obviously, we get the supercomputers there working. No,
sponsored by the Nordic Takedown. Yeah,
obviously. No, seriously though, we're just a bunch of friends writing text back and forth in a Discord server. That's all. Yeah. That's what we're doing. And then we play a lot. We play. That's it. That's the laboratory. That's the big secret. Iron sharpens iron. You need you need to check your ego at the door when you start this process.
Which is very hard.
I mean, we're all different. I'm very good at getting beaten up. People beat me up so regularly. Yeah. I lose so much. I lose. And I'm just, that's how I get good. Getting my ass whooped. That's how I get good.
Yeah, you have to start losing to make a change. That is for sure. I just hate losing, and that's kind of what makes me good. Like I refuse to lose at any circumstance. Like then it hits me when I do, though. But I just can't. I hate it. Like I play a lot of team fight tactics. Like it's like 8 people. I'm not happy if I don't win. Like second place, they say victory if you got top 4 because you get points, and I'm like, sure.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, actually, on Saturday, Adam, I think it's the first time that I've hung out with you like for a long time afterwards. In the car on the way back, I was challenging you and quite a bit. And then I think I was a bit tired and stuff. And you were just talking about the game and this game and this game and this game in a really way. I was like, I can't believe I lost that last game. Like, you won the tournament, but you lost the last game, and you were talking about why you lost the last game. more than the wins that you possibly did. And I was like, okay, so this is what it's like.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that's the thing, because the losing, but you have to, when you lose, if you don't use your losses to get better, then you have lost.
The idea about like losing is that you get better from it.
Yeah.
You learn so more from a loss than you do from a win usually, and talking about that loss. And trying, that's a thing also, when you share a list, like you get to talk about it yourself, you get to explain it to other people. I think that's a thing with the video that I thought when I watched it, for me at least, when I verbalize my thoughts, they grow. So for me, I actually get better at playing my deck when I start explaining it to someone else. I actually learn about my own deck that way.
I can see that. Yeah.
Because they're not just thoughts. Thoughts become the reality of what you think it is or isn't. And then that's what it becomes. And I am a huge overthinker in life, and every big decision that comes along, I'm just kind of mulling over different scenarios in my head, like 100 different scenarios of how something could possibly go. But I have to talk to someone about it. I have to talk to my wife about, right, this is happening, stuff like that. And then this problem becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, because I've put my thoughts and my worries, everything, into a reality. And then I was like, actually, it's not such a big deal. It's the same. I mean, that's a big life kind of counseling kind of situation. Whereas now, let's apply this to this. Is actually, you got ideas, stuff like that, and why isn't this working? Why is it I do this, that, and the other? And then someone says, well, from what you've said, it's because you're not playing into the right cards here. If you go this, there we go.
Yeah.
Then you can have a conversation about it, and
and this is all depending on what your goals are, right? Like, you might not be aiming to win the tournament. You might take a deck that is a surprise deck just because you want to hit top 8. And that is like completely fine. You might want to make Chewbacca or Jabba great. Then you might not have the goal to win the whole thing.
No.
You want to do better than people think the deck can perform. Kind of show people that it works, and because everyone can't win, and sometimes like aiming to get the best results as possible, with something, is also like a way of playing the game. Which like
a very valid way of playing the game.
For sure. It's people like a challenge sometimes. Like, people don't like playing meta decks. They want to be a bit odd, play.
Thanks.
No, but they don't want to be like, some people get a little bit like, if they play Sabine and the opponent's like, oh, not another Sabine. People feel like, oh, I don't want to be the one that feels like. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, oh, you're already tired of playing Sabine. Now I already have you.
I'm going to use that edge.
But there are two different peoples there on the spectrum.
I completely agree.
Was like, someone said like, oh, another Boba Green. I was like, yeah, what did you expect? So you came to a PQ.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I guess with the fact that, people are going and finding other ways, especially like Sabine wasn't as popular, although Sabine it wasn't popular in Vecqua, people are finding other decks to play anyway, is that actually they don't have to ban Sabine, which is good for the Sabine players, because they're not going there. I mean, I'm loving the fact that people are coming up with these new ideas now, and they're trying to find new things. They're trying to find that new way, because then the meta is wide open
Open, really, now. I mean, even if we still see 3 Sabines in top, that's a really,
I think that's healthy in a way.
That's a decent conversion from 24. That's an eighth of the decks. Most decks didn't even have eight entries into the tournament. So, I mean, I'm talking about the Bologna tournament here again. I think the way the meta looks right now, it's so compelling to me.
Yeah, and Sabine is not without bad matchups. It's a super strong deck, and I think it's not bad to have an aggro deck being kind of the most played, because most people like new players might. It's appealing for them to see that they don't have to be the control player right away, because that is hard.
It's a good, and that's the thing. The Sabine deck. I mean, I'm nothing. And there's no disrespect to any of the Sabine players because they're very good players. But the Sabine deck in itself isn't difficult to play. It's a very good like entry level deck for someone to pick up and understand how it goes and do well with it. Yes, you need to be a good player to do very, very, very well with it and win. Right. But it's a deck that you can pick up and understand how to play it. Very, very quickly, I feel like. But to play it well, to play any deck really well, is very different. Like Sabine is a deck where, like, even my wife suggested that, you know, she can play some decks with me and stuff. It's like great. So I'm thinking about putting the Sabine deck together for her, so that, you know, it's not a difficult.
No, the barrier to entry with the Sabine deck is definitely a lot lower than if you look at a Han Solo deck or something like that.
Which is people entering into the game. That's why maybe why in Italy you may have seen so many Sabines, because people have been getting into the game, and they know it's the good deck. They're going to be picking it up as well. So that could be a factor as well. But it's good to have. The entry level into game is very good.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, no, we have derailed a bit from the sharing deck list, but I think we are agreed on there is a lot of positive with it, even though there are definitely advantages sometimes to holding it to yours a bit close to the chest.
I mean, you don't need to share every single tiny tweak that you're doing 2 days before the tournament so that people can prepare to go against it.
I don't think... send your deck list to me, and we'll
and we will tell you if it's good or not.
No, but I mean, I honestly think you need to strike a balance that feels good for you. Yeah. How much do you want to share? How much and how often do you want to share? Why are you sharing? And that's why we brought this topic up, right? Because you know, I think people aren't maybe as aware of the benefits of talking openly about your deck.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
No, they're not.
Absolutely.
But people are very grateful, but they're not as aware. But I think on that note, I think we should wrap up this evening. Any final words from Jason? Sounds like he was doing his last episode on forever, but let's go. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
That was a shit. But this one was actually me, not like a moose this time. So don't worry. For the people that didn't like the moose sound effects, we cut them around episode 20. So you know, we listened.
It's all good.
We listened. We didn't mention it because I was sour about it. So, but we cut them.
Yeah, it's not coming back apparently. Yeah, Victor, any final thoughts on
not really.
That's good. That like a shoey scream sound and no, not really. That is a good way of ending. Like that means that we covered what we wanted, right? That is amazing. Yeah, so everyone, like, check out the YouTube and the Discord. There is actually a few videos these last weeks on our YouTube channel, which is great. Yeah, and join us on our Discord. That is gonna be in the link, like in the description, right, Jason?
Yes.
And if you want to support us, either you try to buy a playmat or something, you can contact Jason.
Yeah, we still have 4 playmats left that can be purchased. So,
or you can just support us on Patreon or something, if that's something you want to do. But till next time, may the force be with you.
See you around.
Good night, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.